Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, text 40. Adharma vibhavat Krishna pradushanti kulastriya strishu dushta suvarshneya jayate varla sankara. Translation. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vishnu, comes unwanted progeny. Purport. If you're full, can you share it in the ISKM Montreal group and maybe the Hare Krishna League? Good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. The Varnashram religion's principles were so designed that the good population would prevail in society for the general spiritual progress of state and community. Such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by the elder members of the family. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. According to Chanakya Pandit, women are generally not very intelligent and therefore not trustworthy. So the different family traditions of religious activities should always engage them, and thus chastity and devotion will give birth to a good population eligible for participating in the Varnashram system. On the failure of such Varnashram dharma, naturally, the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and pestilence. Om Agyalatimiranlasya Gilaljala Chakshurul Milatamyala Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapita Mirabhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Nadati Swapadantikam Pandeham Shri Guruho Shri Utap Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunantam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shivashakam Vitamscha Ye Krishna Karuna Sildho Dilabaldho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanusutte Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhischa Kripasildubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. So, Arjuna here is very concisely letting us know the immediate cause of degradation in society. So we can see that it's because of the women of the family that become polluted. But prior to that, the previous verse, Arjuna said, with the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. So I think last class, when we had the 139, we had discussed that there's some family tradition that arise from the very beginning of the universe. If you go in India now, there's still some Brahmin family that are related to, Bhrigu Muni and so on. They will state from which dynasty they come from. So they're related to which great sage. which means that from the very beginning of the creation of this world, there are very great families established by the arrangement of the Lord, and such family carry their traditions through millenniums. As we can see, Krishna, the Lord Brahma, you see, then we have the sons. So in this way, these great sages and saintly person, they all have their family tradition that they begin. Right? Krishna says, I'm the origin of the great sages and demigod. And he says, the seven sages, and before them, the four great sages. So he's speaking about the four Kumaras and the seven primary sages, Saptarishis. So in this way, these families exist all the way up to now, but the family traditions are being destroyed. So when this occurs, what happens is that the women in the family are not protected. And that is the danger. Because everybody is born of a woman. So there's this great science of Garbhadana Samaskar. So this Garbhadana Samaskar, there are so many principles to make sure that the procreation of children is made in goodness. So that good children come. Pious souls. When we say pious souls, means souls that carry a pious karmic background, because the soul itself is not pious nor impious. So here you can take a look at this verse from the Bhagavatam 3:14-38. The learned Kashyapa said, because of your minds being polluted, because of defilement of the particular time, because of your negligence of my directions, and because of your being apathetic to the demigods, everything was inauspicious. We went to watch that movie, right? Prahlad, Narasimha Avatar. So actually, this is the opening scene. The opening scene is Diti being attracted to her husband, sexual intercourse, and the Kashyapa Muni trying to explain to her that this is not a proper time. So here, because of your mind being polluted, so we can understand that the status of the mind at the time of creation is very important. Now, sex life is occurring in any type of circumstances. And actually, most children are literally unwanted in the sense that they are an accident, they say, right? They are having sexual intercourse, and at one point, the woman falls pregnant. So, but they do not know when it occurred. When is it that the semen impregnated the ovum, the womb of the woman? They do not know when exactly, what time. So sometimes it occurs that it might be during the night, it might be in a intoxicated state. So all these are very inauspicious for the upbringing of the child within the womb. It's inviting a soul that has a strong impious background. So the mind being polluted is very important. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada told us that we should be chanting 50 rounds before creation to clear the mind, Actually, this is very little austerity, because if we see in the Satya Yuga how they used to prepare before getting children, the men and women, they used to go and do, thousands of years of austerity just to purify themselves, just to get good progeny. See how serious it was. Begetting children back then was understood as an extremely important task. And they knew that this child that I'm bringing up has to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. They understood the goal of human life. Now it is literally like cats and dogs. People jump in the bed, they have children, and the children are brought up with the philosophy of hedonistic lifestyle. Just enjoy your senses as much as you can, and that's the goal of life. Eat as much food as possible, have as much sex as possible. So then, because of the defilement of the particular time, the time is also important. It's not that any moment, there's actually astrological calculations, proper time. All this has to be considered. It's not, and even us amongst devotees, we should also be careful. We should not think, I'm a devotee, I don't need to think about all these things. Prabhupada said, don't try to fight the laws of material nature. It's not because we're chanting Hare Krishna that we don't bring an umbrella when it rains. Krishna is going to do everything for me. We, devotee, also have got access to this knowledge now. Maybe in Prabhupada time, it might not have been so convenient to search out the proper astrologer and all. But now, with 50 years down the road, many devotees have done research in different shastra and all. So there is, what is it? Samskara. God. Sorry. So if we have got some tools, see. So this is the Garbhadana Samskar. Let me just see it. Yeah. It was compiled by one devotee. It's very well done. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but there's definitely a lot of information in this. So if you want to see, for example, of course, this is not, related to you all now, but it's just to understand. This is also Shastra. So there's different timings, if we want to be getting good children. So there is a just show you a little bit this. You see, for example, okay, here, factors that determine the gender of the child. Gender of the conceived child depends upon the following factors. Quantity of shukra contributed by the husband into the womb of the wife. The shukra is the semen. Odd or even day in the ritukala. Ritukala means the menstrual cycle of the woman. So there's odd days and there's even days. That also influences the sex of the child. Nakshatra, which star visible in the sky. The svara, the breathing in the left nostril. You see, all these things. Left nostril or right nostril, depending, while the procreation is going on, how to breathe. These things are all there. Who knows these things though? You tell that to people, people will think, this is all story. We're so degraded that all this very high-class science that used to rule the begetting of progeny of the higher class families, such a high, that was not only applied in this earth, but all over the universe, great families, this science has been lost. So there's time during the day, there's which day, You see, this is from Sushruta Samhita. You see, the later the conception happens, the better for the child, as the child will be more likely to be healthy, prosperous, with good fortune, strength, good complexion, and strong sense organs. So the later means basically there's a period of time after the menstrual cycle of the wife, the woman, that this is the time that she can conceive. So the later in those days, the best. And then it says, you see, there's so many things too. Tara is nothing but a group of nakshatras. So Tara is strength of constellation. So you have to consider the strength of constellation also. There's unfavorable constellations. There's favorable constellations. So all of that have to be considered. Auspicious day, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you see, inauspicious. So many things to think about. Now, devotees who are, the Grihastha Ashrama, they should consult such scriptures. Of course, ultimately everything depends on Krishna, but doesn't mean that we don't act properly. So, defilement of the particular time because of your negligence of my directions. So, a wife who disobeys the husband, it is inauspicious and it is a pollution for the wife, because women and men do not have same duties, yet the result can be the same. Their spiritual advancement depends on different factors. Not necessarily that the wife has to do the same duty as the husband, but still, if she does her duty of taking care of children, being faithful to that, she will advance spiritually. She will get some part of the result of their husband. It's a spiritual advancement. Uh, I don't even think I finished it. Yeah. Okay. So we can read a bit the negligence, and because of your being apathetic to the demigods, everything was inauspicious. So we also have to be considerate of the demigods. At that time, it was actually Lord Shiva who was roaming about with his ghostly fiends, ghostly associates. So uh, what type of child will we get if it's actually a ghost who enters the womb? If the soul had a ghost body in his previous life, what type of person will he become? We see the type of associates that Lord Shiva has, you see, the back here. Well, his followers. So all ghostly demonic beings. So he helps them because they need a gross body in order to begin again their activities, to get a chance to evolve in the modes. So therefore, what does he do? People who have illicit sex, he places such being into the womb of such women. So you invite more and more of this type of population to take birth on earth. What type of situation do you think you're going to create? The conditions for having good progeny in society are that the husband should be disciplined in religious and regulative principles. The wife should be faithful to the husband. See? So husband should be trained as a brahmachari. That is the training. Learn how to control the senses and to be, a obedient servant to serve the spiritual master. In Bhagavad Gita 7:11, it is said that sexual intercourse, according to religious principles, is a representation of Krishna consciousness. Before engaging in sexual intercourse, both the husband and the wife must consider their mental condition, particular time, husband's direction, and obedience to the demigods. According to Vedic society, there's a suitable, auspicious time for sex life, which is called the time for Garbhadhana. Diti neglected all the principles of scriptural injunction, and therefore, although she was very anxious for auspicious children, she was informed that her children would not be worthy to be the sons of a Brahmana. There is a clear indication herein that a Brahmana's son is not always a Brahmana. Personalities like Ravan and Hiranyakashipu were actually born of Brahmanas, but they were not accepted as Brahmanas because their fathers did not follow the regulative principles for their birth. So even a great personality like Kashyapa had to give birth to very strong demons. But to speak of us, it's possible too. We might give birth to demons also if we're not careful. That's why it's so important that we follow these regulative principles the best we can. Such children are called demons or rakshasas. There were only one or two rakshasas in the previous ages due to negligence of the disciplinary methods. But during the age of Kali, there is no discipline in sex life. How, then, can one expect good children? Certainly, unwanted children cannot be a source of happiness in society. But through the Krishna consciousness movement, they can be raised to the human standard by chanting the holy name of God. It is the unique contribution of Lord Chaitanya to human society. So now even though we have got this information this science and all, it cannot be applied as a wide, on a whole scale, to teach. We cannot teach everybody about this because people are so degraded that they cannot accept religious principles in this way. So there has to be some purification coming first, and then people will start to understand. Just like we had no idea of all this science on how to beget children, but slowly we learned and we accepted because Chetodarpanamarjana, we chanted, we followed the regulative principles, and we became purified somehow. So in this way, we are capable of accepting this knowledge now. But in the very beginning, what if we were shown these things? When we started Krishna consciousness, what if you're not a devotee, I approach you, women are not so intelligent, they have to be protected, would be like, hey, whoa, don't talk about my mother like that, we'd say this, right? Correct? Because we're not purified. So now we understand it's not that this is to put women down, not at all. It's the complete opposite. It's to protect women. It's actually care for them. It's not that we should not misunderstand this to be envy towards women and to think that, oh, men are better, women are inferior, they have to serve us. It's not like this. It's because we have got a better body for spiritual advancement. We've got more responsibilities. We have to protect women and children so that they don't be misguided, because it is said women and children become very easily corrupted. A child, he's very good. He gets one bad friend, 1 week later he's different, because so fast they will learn, they will imitate. When my son Krishna Sudan came here, I don't know if you heard him say bro at one point. Hey, yeah. Bro, okay. He was not saying that before, So he started to hang out with another kid, and all of a sudden I go back there and I see him talk with a friend. Hey, bro. I said, what is that bro thing? Why are you talking like that? Oh, no, but they say like that. I say, yeah, they say, you don't say. What is this thing calling bro? So you see, children very fast, they imitate, Yeah. Very fast they become. It's same thing for women. Women also very fast, they can become contaminated. So for women, that's why it is always stressed, devoted to the husband. You see, this is from the Manu Samhita. Of course, Manu Samhita in this age, we cannot follow, but doesn't mean that those instructions are wrong. Okay, of course, we have to understand through Prabhupada, but this gives us an idea. It's a reference, See, the nuptial ceremony, so the wedding, is stated to be the Vedic sacrament for women and to be equal to the initiation. Okay? So the marriage for women in Vedic times, in Vedic culture, is equal to initiation for men. Okay? Serving the husband equivalent to the residence in the house of the teacher. So us men, we're supposed to go to Gurukula. But for a woman, if she serves her husband, it's the same thing. Then she goes to Gurukul. In the beginning, Prabhupada movement, right, they were saying brahmacharinis. Someone coined that term. So Prabhupada kind of went along with it to encourage them, but at one point he said, actually, there's no such thing as brahmacharinis. Because he saw in the West, men and women are equally, they're raised the same way. But so through service of the husband, it is the same thing as being at the Gurukul. And the household duties, the same as the daily worship of the sacred fire. So brahmanas, they were supposed to do the fire. Actually, in very, very exalted families, there was an eternal fire that was burning. Like from the Mahabharata, we learned that, in the room of, for example, Kunti Devi and all, there's a fire that's always burning because they have a family priest that tends the fire. And this fire in the family has been burning for like thousands and thousands of years. It's just passed on, The fire is always there, and they always pour, do oblations in the morning, evening, like that. Can you imagine fire that's been tended by brahmanas for thousands of years, passed on into what is the standard of family that was there? Now these things are long gone. There used to be such ages that the consciousness of the people, the morality, the religion, everything was just so opulent. So you see, and why is that we have to protect them? Here it is the nature of women to seduce men in this world. For that reason, the wise are never unguarded in the company of females. See, it's their nature. It's a fact. Their whole, their activities are based around that mainly. We can see young girls, they come out, they will take some time to make up. What do I wear? What is that? It's simply thinking on how to seduce a man. But you see young men, they come out like dressed, some shorts on, some t-shirt, and just go. They don't think about like I always want to seduce girls. It's not like that. So we have to be also very careful how we associate with women. Here it says, for women are able to lead astray in this world, not only a fool, but even a learned man, and to make him a slave of desire and anger. So when we become too attached to women, we develop unwanted desires and we become very angry. We are prone to degradation. The mind would become absorbed in anger. Why? Because lust leads to anger, right? Kama esha krodha esha rajaguna samudbhava mahashano mahapapma vidya namiha vairinam. So this is 337 in the Bhagavad Gita. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion, and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So lust, what does lust mean? The sex life. This sex life is the epitome of lust, right? It's the highest. It all boils down to that. They will do so many activities. A Sanskrit fire is engaged in so many things, but he's frustrated and frustrated and frustrated. And ultimately it leads to what? Sex. That's all. All these young men, what they do whole day, they'll wake up, okay, smoke some cigarette, go to work, go to that, go back, play some video game, okay, bored. Ultimately, at nighttime, they'll masturbate. They'll waste their semen. It ends up in this because whole day, dissatisfied. What do I do ultimately? Okay, this pornography. It leads to this because that's the highest so-called enjoyment in this world. So in this way, and if we don't get what we want, we'll become completely wrathful. So that's why this Grihastha ashram it's dangerous. Because if it's not handled properly, one becomes overly attached to the wife. And then from that comes madness, wrathful. Wrath means the intelligence is gone. Doesn't work anymore. So that's why there had to be proper separation of men and women in Vedic culture. You see, the boy 5 years old, Kaumara Acharit Pragno, Dharman Bhagavatamiha. So from 5 years old, Kumara, the age Kumara is 5 years old. Already don't associate with girls. And of course, it's not that at that time there is danger. They don't know what is what at that time, Like Prabhupada was saying, he was quoting one of his disciples' daughter or son, asking his father, "Oh, Dad, when you were young, were you a boy or a girl?" They have no clue. They don't understand. Prabhupada said, starting from 12 years old, that they must be separated. But prior to that, it's not so. But still, in Vedic culture, we see that they were separated like very early. 5 years old, the boy had to go and learn. And you see, what does a Gurukul student does? He begs. He go ask for donation. Why is it good to do that? Is it that the guru like needs money or something? Guru is not like that. So why is it that this begging is there? Begging is good for the character of the little boy because he develops humility. Humility. A proud person cannot go out begging. It's not possible. Like, my dear sir, we've got this thing, would like to have some donation. You have to be humble. You cannot go there and give me money, come on. You have to have some attitude of being lower. Like, yes, we're doing this thing. Could you please? So it gives us the impetus to hear from authority after that. because we don't think we know everything. If we are developing this attitude of being humble, then the whole chain of knowledge will come in much easier. What is that chain of knowledge? See, Krishna, he states here, this whole list is knowledge. He finishes by saying, Etat jnanam iti proktam. So this whole list, Krishna finished by saying, all this jnanam, knowledge, iti does proktam, declared. All this is knowledge. And what does it start with? Humility. Krishna starts the list of what knowledge is with humility. And second one, pridelessness. One is, telling you directly, humble, and pridelessness. What is pridelessness? It's also humility. Not to be proud. See, humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of all this, Prabhu, this is all Gurukul life. This is all brahmachari life. You need to learn to be humble, to follow authority, right? You need to be humble to sweep, mop without being paid, wash the bathroom, all these things. Pridelessness. If you're proud of who you are, how you will listen to someone else? You won't. So somebody who's telling you, okay, now you should do like that, you should, okay, I'll do that. So it develops pridelessness, non-violence. Obviously, the way we live, we are trying our best, just like we are tolerating these flies for how long? Because we're not violent. Karmis, when they'll finish, it'll be done. But us, we tolerate these flies for how long already? They fly everywhere because we don't want to kill them. We try to somehow get them out. So that's tolerance too, correct? We're also tolerating. And living together here as brahmacharis, we have to tolerate one another. Small space. Of course, we'll step on each other's toes sometimes. What to do? We have to learn to tolerate. But that tolerance won't come without humility. That's why humility has to be there, first of all. You cannot tolerate if you're always proud. Simplicity, brahmacharis learn to be very simple. And actually, Prabhupada said it. When you train a young boy in these religious principles, to develop these qualities, he sees it as a game. That's what Prabhupada said. It is true. When I bring my son here, it's like a game for him, Okay, I'm going to fold the bed. Okay, I'm going to put the bed there. I'm going to, okay, I'm going to mop the floor. For him, it's like, oh, it's fun. So it shows from the very beginning. Sometimes people, they say, children, devotee children, they need to play. And I'm not saying no. It's a fact. Children need to play. That's the way they build their muscle and all of that. And also it's good for the brain. But sometimes they think not too soon he should become brahmachari. Let him just go to school normally and later in life. Vedic culture is not like that. Vedic culture is from 5 years old. Of course, it might be hard to apply it now. That's the problem. You might try to apply and then you kind of lose the other side, because after all, okay, these karmi schools are bad. But they're not all bad. At least he goes there. He's learning a bit of discipline. He's learning some things here and there. So there are some good things alongside with the bad things. Primary school, especially, there's some good, in the West here, when you go to high school, and it's finish. So no high school, that's definitely a bad. But primary school has got some good things. But if you're not capable of having your son live as a brahmachari from 5 years old, but still you say, I don't send him to school, what's going to happen? He's going to be at home. He's going to watch the phone the whole day. You won't be able to train him. He'll be lazy. So might as well just send him to school, right? I'm saying this because it happened in China. At one point, there was this lady. She didn't want to send her child to school. But what happened? He was at home. He was just playing on the phone the whole day, eating snacks. So what's this? Is that a training? No. So she could not do the positive side, and she removed that side, what to do. Anyway, so the point is that men had to be trained as young boys to be self-controlled. Not that they grow up thinking that women are meant for their sexual enjoyment. That's what they're taught now. You know, when my brother told me, my half brother, we have the same mother. So he grew up. He didn't grow up a devotee. He grew up with his father. So he was in France. So he's now what? He's 48 years old now. So in his childhood, which is 40 years ago, he told me that on the TV he would see advertisement with naked women. Can you imagine? He said that shampoo advertisement in France back then, I don't know now, used to have naked women. So you would see. Can you imagine? And this is like, can you imagine the I mean, what you're teaching the young generation, the boys. That's why they grew up to be very lusty people. Actually, in France, of course all over the world. We don't want to be uh, pinpointing, but I remember at one point, also my brother, he told me that one famous guy on the air, he was in live television, and he was a guest. He just came. So he said, "Oh, what do we do? Huh? We drink, we have a drink, or we have sex." Then he says, "Well, I'm not very thirsty." And because of that kind of joke, very low class joke, everybody laughed, and he became very famous for this. He's on live television like that, and he's saying, "Let's just all have sex." So this is the degradation of human society, that they become dogs. Literally, this is the dog mentality. Prabhupada explains, what does a dog do? When you see what they do, immediately they go to the most interesting part. They go smell the vagina. That's the dog mentality. You see them, right? They go like that. So men who simply think of that, as soon as they come in a association of people, they simply think about the vagina of women, they're dogs, because the mentality works like a dog mentality. They're not human beings. Human beings understand what does a human being see another woman as a mother. Can you imagine? We were not taught like that. We were taught that all women are meant for sexual enjoyment. That's how we grew up. But to see every other woman as mother, that is civilization. To respect them, not to always look at their bodily parts and all of that. No, but to respect them. This is a mother. This is a mother. She's a mother. So this type of culture, so high. But by taking to Krishna consciousness, even though we did not get this training as brahmachari, as young boys and all, it can come. This realization, this understanding that every woman is a mother and all, it can come, because by purifying the heart and getting the knowledge. Jnana Vairagya. So by performing devotional service, we'll get knowledge and renunciation. Everything will be included. Vedeshu yaggeshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pratishtam atyati tat sarvam idam vididva yogi param sthanam upayate chadyam. A person who accepts the path, this is 828 Bhagavad Gita. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So, by doing this devotional service, we will get the result of all these things. Studying the Vedas, getting the knowledge, right? Performing sacrifice means getting, piety. Undergoing austerity, to be able to tolerate, to control the senses and all. Giving charity, you get again the result of pious act, fame, all these things. Pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities, we will get philosophical mind. So all of that we can get by doing devotional service. So that's why it's so important to always discuss this knowledge, because by discussing, we will realize all these things, even though we were not brought up in a Vedic culture. So why Prabhupada put these classes every morning and all? Of course, no, we didn't have many, because we're trying to set up this center once and for all so that it's up and running. But once everything becomes more steady, we'll have these classes every day. This is important, and not just I will be giving, you also will be giving at one point. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chadyadahayitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So just by doing this devotional service, we get knowledge. Causeless in the sense that we did not undergo all the study of the Vedas like the brahmacharis they do, going to the Kurukul and remembering the rhythm and all of that. That used to be the way to get knowledge in Vedic culture. Us, we did not do that like this, but simply by doing devotional, because devotional service means Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. It starts like that. So discuss about Vishnu. So we speak about Krishna. That's devotional service. But speaking about Krishna means also speaking about his instructions. So along with doing devotional service, which is to pray, speak about Krishna, we must speak about his instructions. So we get the knowledge there. Speaking about Krishna doesn't just mean speaking Krishna was doing this and he was killing the demon and it also means his instruction. So not only is it devotional service, but we're discussing the highest philosophy alongside it, together. You cannot separate the Bhagavad Gita from Krishna. So if you're the devotee of Krishna, you discuss Bhagavad Gita automatically. And by getting this knowledge revealed into our heart, vijnana, realized knowledge, practical application of knowledge, we become detached from the world. Detachment from the world means detachment from the propensity to want to enjoy it, thinking oneself to be the enjoyer. So, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, a descendant of Vishnu comes unwanted progeny. Yeah. And now, this feminist movement is becoming very, very strong, And because of that, what do we have? We have thousands and thousands of abortions. Where are they? You see this? This is the statistics of live abortion this year. They talk about the war. They talk about the war, this and that. What about that? This year, we're only halfway through the year. 30 million children are killed in their womb. Who's talking about that? You're talking about the bombs and this and that. What about these 30 million mothers killing their children? Oh, that's okay. Why? Women are equal to men. That's all. You cannot say women and men are equal and try and not have abortion. It will be there. Why? Because women are let free to intermingle with men, which means lust is there. It's not because you don't want to accept a husband that lust disappears. No, it's still there. Therefore, sexual intercourse will occur. And how they will occur? In a bar there, at a friend's house, like that. And then the girl, oh, I'm pregnant. I don't want to be bothered with raising this child, and the father that just ran away or something, just kill. So they that's the result, and this shows a lack of intelligence, to think that they can be independent, but they become beggars and killers of their own children. Because beggar means what? They have to have some support from the government, isn't it? The woman falls pregnant. What can she do when she's pregnant? This is another thing. When a woman is pregnant, there's no question of working. In Vedic times, first of all, women were not necessarily they were not having jobs at all. They were doing work at home, But now they want to have their jobs and all, and then when they fall pregnant, they cannot work, so they have to be supported one way or another. And modern society now wants to tax both men and women, right? Those demons who control the world, they work on taxation, increase tax. But if you tax only one half of the population, you don't make that much money. So let's go send women to work. Women thought this is liberation for them. They can be independent, but actually they're just being, exploited, just like men now. So, and now they don't even let women rest for a long time. I don't know about here, It's decreasing more and more. They don't have, a woman falls pregnant, she's expected to work until like I think the 5th, 6th, maybe even 7th month of pregnancy. Can you imagine women transporting and they have to work, and then after giving birth, they have to be back, maybe a month or 2 months later. Some countries is much less. So this is the world we live in. We support these abortions. And how did these abortions occur? Generally abortions, they find out like some 6 weeks, 8 weeks after maybe, which means the body's already, it's got legs, it's got arms. So they have to go inside and chop off a leg, remove it, chop off another leg, remove, like that. They literally mutilate a baby child in the womb. And it's not a fact that the child cannot feel, is not conscious. It's always there. Even if you're in deep sleep, if I do something to you, there is some pain that's there. Bhagavatam says even the trees, they feel some subtle pain. So to speak of a child in the womb, they will feel it. So we live in a society where you see 30 million and half a year. So we can round up at 50 to 60 million a year. Suicide, 700,000. You think there were that many suicide in Vedic times? 700,000 suicide. Money spent on illegal drugs, 261 billion. This year only. Road traffic accident, 880,000. What kind of world we live in? Death caused by alcohol, 1.6 million. Death caused by smoking, 1. These numbers show clearly that this verse here, unwanted progeny. There's unwanted population flooding the earth now. They are called Varna Sankara, unwanted progeny. And that comes from women not being protected, which comes from men not being religious. It's not that we're going to put all the blame on women. First of all, it's men who have given up religion. And ultimately, who's in charge of religion in society? The Brahmanas. So the failure of Brahmana, you see, just like here in the Western world, the Brahmana class, we can say, was the priests. Of course, according to Vedic culture, they're not up to standard. But it doesn't mean that those natures disappear. The natures are still there. So the priests of the Christian religion used to be the Brahmana class here. So because they could not, they themselves, physician heal thyself, they themselves could not follow the principles, eating meat and all, disobeying Lord Jesus Christ. They did not have the purity. Purity is the strength to preach and to preach the gospel of Lord Jesus Christ, to engage the followers somewhere or other. It became some ecclesiastical thing. Ding, 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 ding. So people lost interest. So the priestly order failed the people. And after that, the man, well, what is that priest? Why is that priest better than me, ultimately? What do you, all the scandals of, in the church, of molesting children and all of that. So they lost faith. What is this thing? So the man, again, they became wrong too. They blamed the priest, and okay, if the priest is like that, I can also just give up. So he became wrong. He became irreligious. But to witness irreligion or to see irreligion in one's family or whatever is not an excuse for oneself to become irreligious. It's not because you're being dealt an act of irreligion that's a good excuse for me to become now irreligious. So the priestly order failed, the men failed, and then the women failed. So that's why they have this whole propaganda, my body, my choice. You know that? Mm-hmm. This is just to show how unintelligent these women are. My body, my choice. I am pro-choice because abortion is never an easy choice. Sometimes the right choice, always a woman's choice. What about the baby? It's not the baby's choice. Can the baby have something to say in that?
Separate DNA from the mother.
I mean, the baby he's a living entity. He's got the right to come. It's all this is based on atheism. It's based on saying there's no God in control. The baby is coming in the womb. There's no cause. It's all based on atheism. My body, my choice. Why? Because they want to be independent women. If they don't kill these children, how they will be independent? You cannot do what you want. You must. Lust is there. Sex is there. Pregnancy must be there. Actually, this whole contraception is irreligious. Actually, we have become worse than animals. Why? Because I was not sharing all this time. Because you see, animals, what happens when they have sex life? Pregnancy is there. There's pregnancy. It's practically 7%, most of the time pregnancy occurs. Now we're trying to stop that. But lust is there in a woman. She wants to have this sex. Then she must get married. She must have children with her husband. That's it. That's the way to protect her. If you don't want a husband, then what happens? You have sex left, right, center. And then these unwanted children come. But no, you want to be free, have your job. You don't want to be having, to care for a baby. Kill the baby. See? I'm still independent. See the madness that's going on? And this is especially strong in this country here. Canada, the whole Western world, Europe, North America, but Canada is a place where this movement is very, very strong. And then unwanted progeny means also deficiency in the normal course of sexual orientation. You see, this young girl what does she know about life? But she's being led by the blind people. It is said in that book, Garbhadana Samskar, if the secretion of male and female is equal, it brings about a eunuch, a homosexual. And also there's verses that says if one is too lusty, he will take birth as a eunuch. So it's simply an increase of lust. And why this lust is increasing in society? Because now sex is not restricted. So lust increases more, right? Correct? Like, what we see now, all the girls, they're wearing these things like a super tight thing, right? Like the super tight shorts or super tight. When I was here 15 years ago, that was very rare. I would see that on girls. Now I'm here and all girls have this. You go out, they all have that, right? If I give you some super tight shorts, would you wear that? So why they do it? It shows you more lust, less intelligent. Men design that, first of all. Some men design, leggings, super tight shorts. We'll be able to see everything. Okay, they put that in the market, and these girls, okay, let's put that on. And then walk around like that. So they require protection. It's unfortunate. Not speaking like that just to put them down. It's not like this. But it's a fact. And this unwanted population are addicted to meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. And what do you see everywhere? You see restaurants, you see corner stores. What do corner stores write? Beer, wine, lottery. This is it. Western world is that beer, wine, lottery. And restaurant, what is restaurants? Meat, So illicit sex and hotel, all of that. Everything is a paraphernalia to accompany these four sinful activities, So it's a very dark age, but we cannot see that it's dark unless we get proper knowledge. So that's why we have to discuss these Bhagavatam lectures, to be a devotee and to make some big show and is not required. Now it has become like a rock show, Like recently, they had this big gathering. There were about 200 people, and it was the Kirtan Mela, something nearby here. So one sannyasi was there. One sannyasi was there. Do you think he gave a class? Do you think he spoke, strongly to the people there? No, because he's lagu. He's not guru. He's very flimsy, very light. So therefore, he'll go along, herbal, herbal, and then at the end, take some picture. Oh, you see, I did a big preaching program. Preaching means giving knowledge. It doesn't mean like some singing show Hare Krishna. No, that's not preaching. That's actually misleading, because people will think that this chanting of Hare Krishna is meant to gratify our senses. So that is the task that we have to do. They say, oh, politics. Ritvik, not Ritvik, politics. I don't want to engage in politics. It has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with boiling down to the core of what pure devotional service is. That's the mission. Acharyas, they come, they always promote pure devotional service. None of them will promote contaminated devotional service. None of them. They will always condemn, right? Karma, jnana karma anavritam. No jnana, no karma, no mental speculation, no desire for fruitive results. Pure devotional service, abandon, 100%. That's what they promote. Why? Because this is what's real. This is the only thing that is sanatana, that is eternal. Everything else will dwindle. Every religious movement that is within the three modes is bound to finish. So that's why we have to speak these things. We don't speak these. We don't want to be pleasing people. You think people are pleased to hear this kind of classes? You think, of course, we know that it's hard for women sometimes to hear these type of things. And our point is not to agitate the mind of the Matajis or whatever. But our process is Shastra Chakshu. We must see through the lens of the scriptures. We must discuss everything, even though it's very revolutionary for the modern era. Prabhupada did not mind his words. The very controversial conversation he had about modern day society, right? Concerning the word he used, very strong. Like, but devotees, the compromising devotees, faithless devotees, they'll be, oh no, this is too much. Prabhupada said, no, it's a vagina licking civilization. That's the word he used. How strong he used. Yes. And it's not that Prabhupada did not, he said, make propaganda like that, agitate like that. He said, publish. You can imagine this word, so, how to say it? Provocative. It's extremely provocative, but it's a fact. It's true that men have come down to this state of, that's what they want. That's their pleasure. So how much degraded we've become? The men and the women, both. Not just that women have become, no, men are degraded also. Yesterday we went to see that man. We knocked the door. A ghost opened the door. Some ghost was living there. Not a man, it's a ghost. He opened the door, it was all dark, tense. The guy's in his underwear like this, standing like that. Wow, that's a human being, bro. This guy's becoming a ghost already. And we speak to him. We had some business, because of the rent of the place we rented. Anyway, so this is the Valna Sankara unwanted progeny. And it brings about a hellish situation for the world. And the only hope, it's amazing that it's on our head, but the only hope is this Krishna consciousness movement. That's it. There's nobody else that can answer the question. No one else. You see some big artists, big movie stars or whatever, all speculation only. There's nobody that understands anything. The biggest people on earth, Donald Trump and other, they also cannot pinpoint what's the matter with the world. They don't know. Donald Trump, okay, very powerful, very intelligent politicians and all. Does he know that he has to stop cow slaughter in order for America to become a nice country again? He doesn't know that. And you tell him, what is he going to say? Okay, go ahead, try to fix things your own way. We'll see what happens. We don't want to get into politics, but any questions or comments? Maybe online, some devotees would like to ask something. So we've got Hare Krishna to all. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna Nimai. You and I emailed each other not long ago. Real name Josh Skeen from New York. Hope you're doing well, brother. Thank you for what you do. Hare Krishna. So I think, that's the young, when we were in New Jersey, we received an email from a young, I think he's like 20-year-old, something, 24-year-old. So let's hope that we'll meet each other physically one day. Shikant Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Shridhar Krishna Prabhu. Haribol. 24, yeah, that's him. Haribol, Hare Krishna. Try downloading WhatsApp or Telegram, Prabhu. I think I had asked you somehow to download Telegram or something. It would be nice if you could join one of our group. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Janitai Go Pramanande, Hari Hari.